So, welcome everybody back. Yes. So this is the third day in a row with an interview. I know, but believe me, as I already mentioned 2 days ago, when we spoke to Wildernesses, we have something cool coming up our sleeves for you. So I'm very happy to chat with two of the guys from Midnight Jazz Club. So I'm very happy. Thanks, guys, for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you.
So, I mean, like, we see your names, but maybe you could say what you do in the band. So.
Yeah, of course. You want to go first, Craig?
Yeah, so I'm Craig. I play bass in the band Midnight Jazz Club.
Yeah, and I'm Chris Bow, and I'm the guitar player. And now, as of recently, do we call it like a backup vocalist, second vocalist? Something we've tried to kind of weave into the sound over the last 3 or 4 months. So yeah, that's a new territory for us. We haven't tried it live yet, but yeah, guitar I'm well versed with, but vocals is a new thing. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and for everybody who now thinks, huh? Why are we talking to a jazz band? Yeah. Don't worry, we're not turning into like Miles Davis worship as well. We are, but we are not going to talk to jazz musicians tonight. You guys are playing in a post-metal band. Why the name Midnight Jazz Club? Do you just want to confuse us?
Pretty much, yeah. I think it's like the idea is it's not deliberately to confuse, but it came from we used to go on camping trips, quite a few of us, and we used to say, when it got to around midnight, we're going to have some cigars and maybe some whiskey, and we're going to put some jazz on, and we're going to have our Midnight Jazz Club. And that's kind of where it came from. And we were looking around for band names, and that was the coolest one we had. And we didn't really have any, there wasn't really a second or a third option. We just kind of went, well, that's the name. That's the name.
So it was not a choice, because a choice demands a second alternative.
Yeah, it was just, that's the best one we've got. And it kind of makes you think of a certain thing, but maybe not what the music is. And we kind of like that juxtaposition, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, it is definitely the way that my first mental image was like a doom jazz band or something. Like the name just sounds like Kilimanjaro Dark Jazz Ensemble or something like that. And no, total opposite.
That's exactly what we used to listen to when we were having our jazz club. Kilimanjaro Jazz Ensemble. Yeah.
But yes, it's post-metal, and I'm also glad that you are not trying to hide it. There are some other influences as well. Because I think there is one thing that I have to ask, but we'll come to that later. Okay. People who listen to our interview with Wildernesses might already have an idea of what I'm talking about. The first thing always here on the Veil of Sound is the pluck of the day. And as you are two people who can pluck a band or a project that you would like, promote and push it a little bit, I took the liberty of also coming up with two bands that I think deserve a little more attention. I would like to start with Myriad Drone and second one, Carved into the Sun.
Okay.
And I also think that, there are a little up your alley when it comes to post-metal and stuff like that. So, Chris, which, in your case now, one band only, are you going to push?
Would you like somebody from this kind of scene?
You could say whatever you want to, unless you say Beethoven, then I'm going to end this. Because, a Midnight Jazz Club singer who then promotes classical music, that's not my league.
Okay.
Craig, have you got anyone springing to mind while I have a little think?
I'm struggling, unless say, like, as far as, because I'm trying to think of someone around here we can help.
You can also just pluck the last band that surprised you. Also fine.
I mean, I'm somebody who's springing to mind from around here. There are a few. The last band we played with, actually, a band called Eigengrau. Probably most people are gonna draw a blank on when they hear that name, but they're from around here, very much in our vein. And we played with them in our last gig. I think it was back in July before we had a little break. And I'd heard their album they did, and they don't get together too often. But I think they're kind of having a big push and trying to get back this year. I really enjoyed playing with them. So I think I'll give them a little shout out. I think they're going to make some some little waves getting back into the scene and hopefully start getting themselves on the scene. Yeah, I agree.
And you helped me there, Chris, because I think on the same gig that Chris was talking about with Wagengrau, I also played with a band we've played with a few times called Dutch Elm, who are also looking to get like a new EP out relatively soon as well, and I'm really looking forward to hearing that. Really slightly different to us, a bit more shoegazy in that sense, but still really, really good.
Yeah, kind of math rocky, shoegazy, good band, both good Newcastle-based bands, and I think we've got a little collective of like-minded, if not massively similar genre. But we get together well, and we all have a good time when we get together. And they're actually playing together in Middlesbrough, I believe, the night that we're down in London. So we couldn't make that one, unfortunately. But yeah, but we'll catch up with them guys soon, no doubt.
But is that something that you would say also characterizes for you the Newcastle scene? That, you know, there might not be 30 post-metal bands, but there are 30 very good bands from different genres, and everyone supports each other.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think it is a pretty good little tight-knit scene. I think the venues that are doing good things are really responsible for that. There's a little venue called Little Buildings that are doing some great stuff in the scene, and they gave us we practiced there for almost our first practices. We had our first gig there. And those kind of bands in our scene tend to come up, and if they're headlining, they'll come and play there. The likes of Polymath, Code Speaker, 100-Year-Old Man, those kind of bands come up and play in that venue, and we try our best to kind of to jump on those gigs when they pop up. Yeah, I mean, it's a tiny little venue, as you might guess by the name, but it's great for, like, you know, you've got a little scene, you've got a nice little following, you're going to pack that room out, and it's got a great feeling to it.
Yeah,
which is better than playing in a 200 capacity with 50 people bouncing around.
Yeah, exactly. You know, rather play a small but packed club, maybe
Absolutely.
with a person or two more than officially allowed. But yeah, I can totally see that. And you've already mentioned it, Chris. On the new record, you have vocals. I mean, like on the Obelisks EP that you put out last year in March, if I remember, there were no vocals on that one. But how does the change of mind come?
Yeah, good question. I think how do you think we've gone about it, Craig? Because it's kind of it's one we've been bouncing around for a while, isn't it? We've been looking kind of on the back burner for somebody.
Yeah. I think it's gone up and down a little bit. I think all of us at some point have thought, it'll be a great idea to have it. And then we've tried a few styles, and they've never really gelled. And we thought, well, we're not going to stop gigging just because we don't have a singer. So eventually it just became that's what we did. But then once we met Liam, who's joined with now, and got the sound seems to match with what we're looking for. So it was something I was always hoping we could do, but wasn't going to just settle for anything. So it was, I think now we've found the right person that feels right.
That's it.
And that also, you've already basically answered. Obelisk was recorded as a quartet. Now you're a 5-piece, right?
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that you now have a vocalist who performs, but doesn't that also change the songwriting in itself?
Absolutely. From finishing Obelisks and gigging it quite a bit, we had it in our minds that we were going to put vocals on the next release. However that came about, whether we found a vocalist or we had one very tentative session where Craig and the other guitarist, Chris, another Chris, and I both all had a go of doing some vocals, and we were like, okay, we can do this. We can incorporate vocals into what we're doing. And yeah, we started to write, leaving a little bit more space with guitar lines, and maybe adding a bit more, taking a step back from some riffs, adding a few more chordy kind of sections in there with a little bit more space, taking some of the lead lines off where we would think, okay, this is where a vocal might sit, and not have it too busy with too many guitar lines. So yeah, it felt natural, a natural progression to go that way. But it was difficult, especially before you have the vocalist. You're kind of like, well, it feels like there's something missing now. And then, but like as Craig said, we didn't want to just get anybody. So we had a little look around, tried a few things ourselves, but we wanted it to be undeniable. And when we found Liam, it was just full steam ahead. Liam was in with me, writing and putting his ideas down, just so we could I could take it to the band and be like, look, listen to this. And thankfully everybody agreed. There was never nope, it was unanimous. We said, yeah, we're doing it. And yeah, we're dying to get out and play our first gig with them, because it's been a while since we've been out, and yeah, it'd be nice to see.
Is Celestial Diadem the first gig that you're going to play as a quintet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like the trial of all trials.
Trial by fire for Liam.
Yeah, trial by fire, exactly. But I mean, like, without giving away too much, but you are a band which is rooted in post-metal, yes. But there are moments which are definitely proggish, to say it like that. And of course, that raises the question, will we have, or will you feature clean vocals or post-metal shouts, singing, whatever we want to call it?
I think it's both. It's mainly clean vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Some shouts. Chris, the other guitarist, is handling a lot of the shouty parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it turns out he can do that.
Yeah, he's been keeping that to himself for a good few years. And he was like, oh, one day he just turned the mic on and just started shouting. Now he blew mine and Craig's head off. And we were like, yeah, okay, you can do it. And he's like, does it sound good? And we were like, yes, it sounds good. So he's doing that, and Liam's handling the melodic stuff. So it's going to be nice to see how that goes. But incidentally, it's the first we've swapped out drummers as well. So our old drummer Tom left us at the end of the last EP cycle, and then we've found a new drummer, Jack, who's fantastic. He's really kind of taken us not in a different direction, but he's really settled in well, and we feel really steady with him. Like we haven't even played a gig with him yet, and I just feel so at ease with him there. So it'll be nice to see how the two new guys get on. It's a bit of a trial by fire. Mm-hmm. The furthest away from home with two new guys,
and vocals.
And vocals. So lots of changes, tuning change, new gear.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Everybody, we are waiting for the band split announcement next week.
Let's see how it goes.
Just joking, guys. Please don't. The obelisks, sorry, there's no V in front of it. First of all, I have to ask, because on one platform it said that it is released by a label, the Three Cs, or is that just your own thing? I have to ask, because I tried to find it out and I didn't find anything.
You had to put one on at the time on the system that we were using. So yeah, it was. We just decided on the name because it was at the time it was Chris, Craig, and Chris.
So but Three C. But is that something? I mean, like, of course, being signed to a record label is always a cool thing. Of course, already the sense of appreciation, the sense of, okay, we really achieved something. But is that something that you could also nevertheless see yourself doing for a certain amount of time, like being completely self-relying and putting out the stuff yourselves?
I feel like there's a way to do that, definitely. But incidentally, we're in some chats with somebody at the moment to release the new one when it's ready. Yeah, I don't want to jinx it before kind of.
Yeah.
Deal, but,
don't say that you're becoming a prime artist on Relapse Records, please.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But by the way, I mean, like, apart from the label that you are talking to, is there a label where you both would say, like, oh, if we ever make it there, that's like, okay, then I got all buckets on the list, like ding 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 ding. Is there like a dream label?
Pelagial would be nice. That would be my choice. Yeah.
Okay, Craig.
Honestly, the same. Really, not. Mine would be more about what it offers, to be honest. But yeah, that one sounds about right. Not as much as
what's in it for us?
Yeah, that's a feisty dose of self-confidence. I like that.
If we're going to put another one in, then maybe Century or maybe Nuclear Blast, someone like that. That'd be nice.
I
Dream world.
I can see why you say Pelagic. I mean, like, of course, we all know that's the label of Robin from the Ocean, and of course, there are some bits in the sound evolution of the Ocean that we could connect with Midnight Jazz Club for sure.
Yeah,
I can see that.
They're a big influence on mine. I've been a fan for a long time.
Yeah. There is something in there. I can see that. However, I have to ask, and I already hinted at it 48 hours ago. Who of you came up with the idea to basically steal a Tool intro for Refractions?
That would be mine. Yeah, it's
But you do admit that there is a lot of Tool in that intro.
There's a lot of Tool in all of it.
But there it becomes like real. I felt like my first thought was like, is that Lateralis?
we always say if people are gonna label that at us, then we're kind of fine with that. If you're gonna try and rip anyone off, you might as well be Tool.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I can see that, and for everybody, no, the song is not a cover. The song is not a rip-off. But I would say the first 8 or 10 seconds, that sounds very much like one of those Lateralis songs. I'm not sure which one.
The clicky.
Yeah.
No, they used it, and then Gojira did it, and then someone else.
Of course, I mean, like it's a classic intro, of course. And we can all trace if we want to go back, and we could say, okay, probably somewhere King Crimson used something similar like that.
Yeah, probably.
But that was just like I was listening to them at first. It was like it was not even on for like 2 seconds. I was like, cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of those. I'm really wearing the influence on my sleeve. We're not trying to, repackage it and put a new label. It's like, this is who we like.
Yeah, and that is also a good thing. Like if you like the band and if you put it in a spot where it's obvious, so that one might also say, okay, this is an homage, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
So
that's
and also because then the song takes a completely different turn, and that's very, very cool. We have now mentioned Newcastle, where you're from, quite a lot. Would you say that there is something particularly Newcastle-ish about your band?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
It's difficult to say. I mean, it definitely makes us who we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all from Newcastle. I mean, Chris is from Gateshead, it's near enough to Newcastle. We're from North Tyneside, which is just outside of Newcastle. I think Jack and Liam are both Northumberland, as you mentioned earlier. But yeah, I think being from in and around these parts definitely makes you a certain way. The weather's crap. We're pretty friendly. We're a little bit isolated. That's going to make you a certain way, and it's going to make you, your musical tastes go a certain way. It's going to make the way you outlook on life a certain way. I don't know how that would be different. We only know. We always joke that we don't really know how to do any other music other than what we do. Like I don't know how to play. I couldn't pick up a guitar and play a load of other songs, and probably the same for the rest of the guys.
Would you say that it makes you a little more self-reliant?
Definitely in the sense of travel. I think we definitely have to get used to. We'll have to drive a bit longer, maybe. But
yeah, how long are you going to be on the way? How long is it from Newcastle to London? 5 hours?
5.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well because we talked about the smaller amount of bands in the same function as well. I think it makes you have to branch out quicker than having if you say if we're from Nottingham, where there's a big scene around there, you might stay around longer. But we've obviously had to start quite quickly deciding we're going to get out of town.
I think in terms of going to see bands that you like, two things have really influenced how that's changed over the years. Considering that when we were younger, all our favorite bands used to come through Newcastle. So number one, a lot of those bands are skipping through Newcastle now. The scene's not as strong as it was. times have changed. Some of the bigger bands are passing us by now.
Yeah, so people don't have enough money. They have to go to United all the time,
exactly.
You have to decide what
you. And the second reason is you get a bit older, your tastes get a bit more refined, and you find a niche. And you got to think, well, if I want to see certain bands, I'm going to have to get in my car and go and see them. Whether that's Leeds, Manchester, or up to Glasgow or Edinburgh, which are doable, but they're not as doable as jumping in your car or jumping on the bus and seeing a band.
Yeah.
Those things are going to affect your scene. You don't see the cool bands. That's why we wanted to play music, because we saw all of our favorite bands coming through. Now, are the younger generation seeing less of that, or are they? I don't know. I'm on guesswork here. Or are people just investing more in smaller niche bands from the start because of the diversity of music now? Some of it's for the better and some of it's for the worse.
Yeah. And I think when I looked at your band biography, there is also something else that plays into that, and that has to do with self-reliance and doing something on your own. If I read it correctly, you started the band at the end of 2020, right?
Yeah.
So then you are starting a band in the middle of Corona, in the middle of the pandemics. I'm not sure about the British lockdowns, but you know what I mean. You're starting it in the middle of utter chaos worldwide.
Yeah.
Was the band also a way of coping with all the stuff around?
Yeah,
absolutely. I joined as lockdown was in flux, and Chris already had a song Lucid Element that they were working on and wanted a video for, and Chris was like, do you want to join to do the bass on that? And that's where it all started, and it was hugely important over COVID for me. I think just that distraction while being stuck in the house, and I didn't get furloughed or anything like that, so I had to work, so it was just that nice distraction for sure.
Yeah.
Is that also still one of the things that keeps you going, getting stuff off your chest? That like cathartic element? Absolutely.
Yeah. I always say, like, but generally, like, if we go to practice on, say, a Tuesday, been at work all day, you're going, quite tired after work, and then you get there and immediately the adrenaline's up, and by the end of practice you're never tired anymore, and it's that kind of rejuvenation that I get from playing with them. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I think one thing that really keeps us going, and we've probably done this the opposite way around to what a lot of people have done with their kind of musical careers or doing bands. We've all always played music, and Chris and I have always played music together since we were fairly young, and Craig's my cousin, incidentally. So Craig and I have always played music together.
So that's why you brought him in, so that, you know.
Yeah,
definite nepotism. Definite nepotism, yeah.
But you're not a baby anymore, so that doesn't count. All good.
But that plays into it as well. We just wanted to have a good group of guys. We weren't bothered about having like, we pick that guy because he's a slightly better player, or that guy because he's a slightly better drummer. We wanted good guys. We want to have a nice time together, and if they can, if you've got potential to grow, that they can grow with us. But I think the biggest thing that keeps us going, and I'm really speaking for myself, the other Chris and Craig, we've all got young families, and that's almost kind of pushed us on more. Yeah. And need to do those things. I don't do like going to pubs and going out nightclubs anymore. I make music with my friends, and that's much more acceptable as a family guy than like, we're going to go out and get drunk. It's a more a much better way to invest your time and your effort into creating something than to doing something like, getting drunk all the time or whatever it is that other people do.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I mean, like doing something creative on the side apart from job and family. I don't know, just like you said, there are much worse things that you can do. You could go about town every Friday to Sunday getting pissed and knackered as much as possible, right? But that will not help you Saturday morning when your child comes and says like, "Daddy!"
No, God no.
And let's be clear. I mean, like, of course, being in a band, unless you're trying to do a really professional thing, right? Like, I want to make not only a little bit of money with this, but I want to make so much money that we could speak of generational wealth, right?
Yeah.
And when it really turns into a job, then it must, I think the first thing for every band to become good at what they do, better at what they do, and maybe maybe turn this into something which doesn't cost you, but where you say, look, okay, it's self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Then the first thing is the band chemistry. And, I mean, like, we get demos every day in the dozens. And I would venture to say that I can pick out those bands that try to push for making money, and I can figure those bands who try to push for having a good time. And that is something that I definitely like about Obelisks. It's a record which, of course, speaks to genre fans, but it's a really, really well-made record, and that is something that is undeniable. And therefore, first of all, thanks for that.
No, thank you.
And yeah, I think it's really positively audible that you guys have a good time together. I have a question about the cover of Obelisks. Am I just stupid, or does it remind me of a bridge? It is not a bridge, I know, but it looks a little bit.
A bridge?
Yeah, a bridge. It looks like the obelisk is in the middle, and it's like a bridge. I thought, like, is there a bridge somewhere around Northumbria which looks like that?
Nope.
I hadn't seen that at all. I could kind of see what you mean now, but I'd never seen that before until you mentioned it. Yeah.
But now, and then I have like two things about Obelisk. What I like, and here we can come back into what people might misassociate about Midnight Jazz Club. Obelisks, to me, are always pointy and angular and have like sharp edges. And, the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, either a jazz club or math rock. Right. Is it another one of those things where it's like, okay, we like to confuse people a little bit?
It's ambiguous, I would say.
Exactly.
And yeah. My thought around it is, and I don't want to explain the whole concept of the next EP, but we have expanded on the whole obelisk theme, and part of the idea is that the next EP is a first-person account of what happens with these obelisks, and it popped into my head that maybe the obelisk was just how this one person described it. I didn't want to go full, huge world fans story. I wanted to go one person's experience of a bigger phenomenon, and that is maybe the obelisk is maybe just their way of describing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, at the same time, an obelisk is like crazy heavy. Is that also something that appeared to you like, okay, heaviness, not for heaviness' sake, but heaviness and some kind of ordered chaos?
Yeah, it was like a localized mass. That's the way that like something that appears, and that the wording of that kind of leads you into, does it give it a power? Does it give it a huge mass or weight? Even though it's appeared out of nowhere, but it's not suspended by anything on the floor, and not supported by anything on the floor. Yeah, that's the idea. You're on the right lines.
And I have two more questions before we come to the quickfire round at the end. I'm not sure. Did you give or did you ask the website The Obelisk permission for that song title? Or did they just you should premiere that track on The Obelisk?
I didn't even know there was a website called The Obelisk.
Nope.
I have to tell you, JJ. You do know about it?
No, completely unaware.
Yeah, it's an American website specialized in sludge and all things heavy. That's why I'm like, okay. Cool.
Maybe we should get in touch then.
Yeah, I will send you. I will send you a link.
The opportunity's gone, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Opportunities can arise whenever you want them to, right? And the second one, and that is something that I also already asked the guys from Wildernesses. You're playing Celestial Diadem, and if I remember correctly, you're playing on Saturday.
Yeah,
correct.
Out of all the other great, amazing bands that are playing the 3-day thing, which one are you looking forward to seeing the most?
That's easy for me. Dim Skewer.
Oh, yes.
That's, yeah. So I became aware of them last year, like everyone else did, and instantly went, yep, love that. And saw them popping up here, there, and everywhere. I think they were on Arctangent. I think they played up Bloodstock, possibly. They've jumped on some things quickly, so they're quite inspiring in the sense that they've popped up almost out of nowhere and had this huge success. Yep. I love their release. I think they're a great band. And incidentally, Liam, our singer, is a very, very, very big fan. And when I told him that we were playing on the same day as them, I think he had a bit of a heart attack. So he's a little bit.
So you need a second singer.
Yeah, a little bit daunted by playing with them, but he's very excited about it at the same time. So yeah, that's my choice.
If anybody wants to know a little bit more about the band, you can also look at our archive, because we have an interview with Dim Skewer from Arctangent. One of our guys interviews for Latvia. Two of the Latvia. Craig, your band you're looking forward to seeing the most?
No, see, so because we'll be there on Saturday, obviously, I'd love to have seen the Fridays. Would have loved to have seen, but we'll have to travel up that day. So like dinner, Celestial Birds and 4, and on the first Friday night, would have been great to see. But unfortunately, we're going to have to miss that one. Yeah, Dim Skewer was, because of the conversations that we're having in there, I checked them out and sounded good as well. Things like, but everybody else, to be honest, I'm just so looking forward to going. So things like Hexcut and Code Speaker and seeing all of these bands as well. But honestly, the whole day, I can't wait to go.
Yeah.
Are there bands that are new to you that you haven't seen live?
Yeah, I haven't seen.
Almost all.
Yeah, then we're back at the small scene in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, thanks for all the insight into obelisks, but nobody leaves the Veil of Sound interview without going through the infamous quickfire round at the end. I will always give you 2 alternatives. You have to choose one of them and maybe give a short explanation for your choice.
Okay.
So a jazz club band. Miles Davis versus John Coltrane. Which artist do you like more?
No, Miles Davis, yeah.
Miles, yeah.
As we were talking about the ocean, you have to choose between pelagial and heliocentric.
Heliocentric is easy.
Yeah, so that's one of the few albums I actually paid for on Apple Music when you use the favorite album. So yeah,
heliocentric with the artwork was just so. I loved the whole.
Yeah, it's the black one with the man in the middle. Yeah,
and so good. And I know, and the Percentric was shortly after, but the cards that came with it, all the artwork, I just loved. Yeah. So that was kind of the last kind of CDs that I bought, but like still got them in perfect condition. Yeah, love that album.
When it comes to post-metal, there is the age-old question: which band do you prefer more, Neurosis or Isis?
Isis, only because I've seen Isis 3 or 4 times. Yeah, and that was probably a lot of people's first kind of post-metal band, and I kind of listened to them before I really knew what post-metal was. This is probably maybe Panopticon era. Yeah, I never really got into Neurosis anywhere near as much as Isis, so yeah, that'll be my answer.
Yeah, not much to add. I think similar. Although I didn't say the 3 times like Chris.
Yeah, makes me feel old again. But yeah, for me, it's very, very difficult because I've seen both bands a couple of times live. And I have to say that in 99% of all cases, I would always choose Isis over any other band. But Neurosis live was just something different. That was.
Yeah, maybe if I'd seen them live, maybe it would be yeah.
I traveled to countries just to see Neurosis.
Really?
Yeah. I went to Scandinavia to see them on one of the tours because they didn't come to Europe. Yeah, they didn't come to Central Europe, so I had to travel.
Yeah. I think Isis.
But I also traveled for Isis.
Yeah, we always went to like Leeds and Sheffield. They never played Newcastle. Yeah, they just had something live that just nothing else I was into did.
Yeah, that is true.
I was still lumping them in with thinking it was just a new kind of progressive music. Didn't know about.
Yeah. I mean, like think about it. They had Justin Chancellor on a few tracks.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
While we're talking about Tool, you have to choose between Anima and Undertow, because Lateralis is just too easy. It's like probably the record that most people would choose. So Anima versus Undertow.
Anima for me.
Same. Yeah, Anima.
If it had been Anima versus Lateralis, would it have been more difficult?
Lateralis.
It would for me. I'm a Lateralis guy, yeah.
Yeah. Same.
And I'm very happy that you mentioned Glasgow, so I'll give you the Glasgow band, Mogwai.
Yeah.
Hardcore Will Never Die, But You Will versus Mr. Beast.
Now I like Mogwai, and I've seen them a couple of times.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They're actually playing Newcastle next month, I think, or is it March? I'm gonna go Mr. Beast. I could have went out of the way, really.
Craig?
I honestly haven't listened to them that much to my sins. I'm going to start now, but yeah, I think so. I'll not pretend that I have a fear. I can't quite remember which from what.
Well, I can understand that, and I think it's also becoming difficult if you have a band that has nearly 20 records under their belt.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, like when you look at them on certain streaming services, it's like it takes a minute to get through all the releases. It's difficult.
Really original band though, like. There's not really anybody like that. I don't think, and that ties back to what you were saying about earlier about what makes us, different when we come from Newcastle. They're definitely different because of where they're from.
Yeah, 100%.
Compared to other post-rock bands that from North America, from throughout Europe. They've just got something. There's something different. There's a humor to some of it.
Yeah.
There's a moodiness that could only be from there.
Yeah.
Great band. I'm going to go buy my ticket now because I haven't actually bought
one. And I actually think that, bands from remote areas with maybe a little less access to a genre scene, not just a scene, but a genre scene, or with less access to bigger bands playing, I think that those scenes very, very often produce some of the most awesome acts. For example, thinking about post-rock, there is this band from Norway, from way up north, Tromsø, Spurf. Amazing. They sound like no other band. Yeah. Or there are all those Russian bands from St. Petersburg who play this kind of black gaze. Amazing. And I think there is something, of course, for young people not being able to have access to that much live music in your own town, it's hard. At the same time, it can lead to some very interesting band results.
I think, thinking back to your earlier question about that, actually, thinking about it a little bit more, and I think about how we are compared to maybe other bands from around here. There's a lot of death metal bands around here. You can join.
They're everywhere.
And I like a bit of death metal, and I like some metalcore, but there's the bands in that genre are 10 a penny. They're probably 10 a penny everywhere, possibly 20 a penny. We always said, and this is a little bit of the reason why we ended up waiting so long to get out and play and do our thing. We always said we wanted to do something different. That might sound a bit cliche, but we were like, we're not going to go out there and just do rehashed metalcore riffs like a lot of bands do and just have some shouting over the top of it, and that's going to be it. It's either going to be really good, we're going to pitch in and do something pretty niche that we all really, really enjoy, so it doesn't fizzle out after a year, 2 years. We want to make it unique to us and make it as fun, and hopefully, click with some of those people who are into the more niche genres. And I think we're really finding them now. We've got some incredible fans in Newcastle who just seek out this, these genres that are, hidden away in the little rooms up and down the country, and they've found us and they've latched onto us, and we see the same people at all the gigs. We've got a couple of fans who are, well, I say fans, they're just our friends now. They come to, I think they see us. How many times did they come and see us last year, Craig? 10.
Like 9 or 10, yeah.
Yeah. They always want to be at every gig, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm really sorry. We're really sorry we can't come down to Leeds to see it." I'm like, you don't need to apologize. And secondly, you don't feel like you have to come and see the same set that you've seen 6 times already.
Yeah, but you have to think about it this way. A stalker who cannot follow his prey, if he's polite, he says like, "Oh, I'm very sorry, but I cannot hunt you down."
Yeah. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. I'm going to give Carrie and Gordon a shout out. There are two biggest...
Yours 2 stalkers? Yeah, but no, let's be honest. That's again something that I think about, those little niches in big towns, but where you don't have, like, as we said, you don't have 20 metalcore bands. You might have 20 metalcore bands, but you don't have 20 post-metal.
No, definitely not. Exactly.
And then if people are really into that, then they become avid supporters, because, first of all, it's always better to hear something live. Second of all, how often do you get it? And then third of all, it's also a little bit of that local patriotism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a cool thing in that context. For everybody who wants to see how those Northumberland lads perform in the big city, Saturday, 2/29 in London. They're playing with a lot of awesome bands. We will have here on this little Celestial Diadem Weekender special, we'll have another little tidbit tomorrow. Please, if you have some time on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, go there, enjoy the sets, say hi to the DJs, and tell them that George sucks. No, he doesn't. He's a great lad. And then enjoy what you see, even if there might be 20 post-metal bands in there.
Yes, there will be.
So, guys, thanks for all your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks
very much for having me, man.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.